All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, everyone, depending on wherever you're joining from. Yeah, my name is Mayank Tripathi, and I'll be your host for today's session. And actually, before we dive into our topic, so this webinar is going to be around 20 to 25 minutes long, depending on how it goes, and then we'll spend the rest of the time answering your questions. So in today's webinar, we'll be talking about what all things you need to consider when setting up the configs for returning visitors. We'll be sharing some valuable insights with you, and I really encourage you to actively participate by asking questions and sharing your own thoughts. So today's session is managing returning visitors. Our agenda for today would be to first let you know what exactly is the problem that we're addressing today. Then we'll talk about how exactly it works, different variables that you need to consider when setting up returning visitors, how to set it up, how to set the whole setting, the config of returning visitors. Then we'll cover some of the frequently asked questions, and then we'll open the floor for any questions that you may have. All right. So starting off with some of the most common use cases. Now, the most common use case is, of course, to expedite the whole sign-in process for repeat visitors. That's the whole reason you're using returning visitors. You obviously don't want your returning visitors to have a lengthy process of signing in because they've obviously visited before, so you want a very quick way for them to sign in. And that's exactly what returning visitors does. Another use case is, for returning visitors who visit the same day multiple times. There are people coming in, going out frequently during the same day. You obviously want a quick way for them to sign in and sign out. Signing out is obviously very quick, but signing in needs to be quicker as well. So returning visitors is something that helps you do that. And then for contract, I'm sure you must be getting a lot of contractors, vendors visiting you frequently, and it's good for you to have to give them a very quick way to sign in. So returning visitors is exactly the thing that you need for that. And this is a very interesting one. You actually can tailor the sign-in flow for returning visitors. Someone who's coming to your facility again and again, you can tailor their sign-in experience depending on do you want to make it fast or more secure. We'll obviously be talking more on that, but that's something that is very interesting about setting up returning visitors. So these were all the common use cases that we usually see. Now coming on to how exactly it works. So on the welcome screen, this is what you must be seeing on the iPad, right? There are different options, and then you need to select returning visitors. Now this is very important, because if you are a returning visitor and you select new sign-in, you'll be treated as a new sign-in by the system. If you want the system to treat you as a returning visitor, you need to select returning visitor. So that's the most important thing. Even if I'm a returning visitor and I select new sign-in, the system obviously won't recognize me. So you need to select returning visitor at this step. Once you do that, the system will ask you to enter your full name. And if there's a match found, it'll be there, it'll be flashed in front of you, after which you can just select, and sorry, that's what will show up. That means it'll just finally confirm to verify if everything is all good in terms of all the details. If it's all good, you can just go ahead and sign in. However, let's go back to this page. Okay. However, if there are multiple people by the same name, that might happen. There might be two John Smiths. So what happens in that case? Well, in that case, you'll be asked for additional details. You'll be prompted for additional details just to fully identify who the person is. And once they do that, it'll be asked. The system will know that they'll be able to identify who exactly you are. They'll show you the result, and then you can sign in simply. There's another case where there's no match found. You try to enter your name and there's no match found, and there can be multiple reasons for that. And we'll touch upon that further down the presentation today. And in this case, you can either try again, maybe there was a typing error that you might have done, or you can just sign in manually. So sign in manually would mean that you'll have to sign in as a new visitor. Okay, so that's how the experience of a returning visitor is usually on the kiosk. So let's assume that you've signed in, and then you go ahead, and that's the whole process. Now, how to set up a returning visitor in the online portal. We'll do a demo, like a hands-on demo of how the online portal looks like and where exactly this setting is. But for the time being, let's focus on how to set it up. Now, the first config that you see is of badge expiration period. Now, it depends on what kind of experience do you want to give to your customers. Do you want their badge to be printed each and every time they visit, even if they're a returning visitor? In that case, you need to set it as 0 days, which means that even if you come in the next hour or so, the badge will be printed for you. The badge will expire immediately after you sign in. You cannot reuse the badge. That's what it means. It stays valid, but you cannot reuse the badge to sign in. That's what this is for. And according to this setting that you see in front of you, so it says 1 day. It means that if I return the same day, I can reuse the badge. Okay. But if I come the other day, the badge cannot be reused, and there'll be a new badge that gets printed. So it depends on you how you want to set it up. That's what this setting is for. And the next one is personal info expiration period. Now, this is what defines a returning visitor. Now, how long do you want the system to remember a returning visitor? Do you want them to remember for the next 1 year, 1 month, 6 months? Totally depends on you. As of now, it says 1 year. It means that the system will remember you for the next 1 year, which means that even if you come after 6 months, 8 months, 10 months, the system will remember you, and you will be able to sign in as a returning visitor. Okay. And then let's go to picture expiration period. So it's very simple. If you're asking to take pictures, do you want to take a picture do you want returning visitors to take a picture each and every time? If yes, then you need to set it as 0 years or 0 days or 0 months, whatever, which means that each and every time that they return, the picture will be asked. They'll have to take a picture. However, if you don't want your returning visitors to click a picture, you just set it up similar to what the personal info expiration period is, that is 1 year. So if the personal info expiration is 1 year, set the picture expiration as 1 year as well. In that case, the returning visitors won't be asked to retake a picture. And similarly for scanned ID expiration, this is only for those of you who have ID scanning. If you don't want your returning visitor to scan their ID each and every time they visit, then you can set it as 1 year. However, according to this setting that you see in front of you, which says 0 years, it means that whenever they visit as a returning visitor, their ID needs to be scanned. Okay, so it might not be the fastest way to sign in returning visitors, but it would definitely be more secure. And we'll talk more about it a little later. And then the next one is, do you want the system to remember the last visited host? If yes, then just simply check it. If you want the system to remember that, they won't be asked, which means a faster process for their sign-in. And then the next one is, do you want the system to remember their visitor type? For example, do you think if a contractor has visited you, do you think they're going to visit you as a different visitor type or as a contractor each and every time? If you're sure that they're going to visit you as the same visitor type each and every time, then just check it. Okay. So that was all about how to set up a returning visitor in the online portal. I'll obviously be giving you a demo of how it looks like and where this setting can be found. Now let's come on to the most interesting part. So Different variables that you need to consider when setting up returning visitors. So we obviously want to expedite the whole process of returning visitors, right? You don't want them to spend too much time on the kiosk. So speed is definitely important. But the whole point of getting a visitor management solution is that you want your facility to be more secure, right? You want security is important for you, accountability is important for you. But it's always a trade-off between how fast you want the system to work and how secure you want the system to be. So that's what we'll be covering in this. Now, common setups would be, do you prioritize speed more or do you prioritize security more? And what you're seeing in front of you is one example where you've given priority to speed more. You want the system to be more, like you want the returning visitor to be a quick process. You don't care too much about security, but you really want the system to be, the process to be very quick for returning visitors. So let's quickly see all the settings that we see in front of us. So badge expiration period is set as 30 days, which means that the system will remember the badge for the next 30 days. So if a visitor is visiting for within the next 30-day period, their badge won't be printed, which means it's a quicker way for signing in visitors because they don't have to wait for the badge to get printed. They can just reuse the badge. But an important thing to keep in mind is that you're expecting the visitors to retain their badge for the 30 days period, which is a little unlikely. That's why I've not kept it as 1 year, because ideally I could have kept it as 1 year. I can keep the badge expiration period as long as I want, but it's not practical to expect from visitors to retain their badge for the next 1 year. So 30 days is somewhat, that you can expect. And again, totally depends on how you want in your facility. Then the personal info expiration period is 1 year, which means that the system will remember you for the next 1 year. Picture expiration, similar to personal info expiration, which means they won't be asked to take a picture again. Similarly, for ID scanning, they won't be asked to scan their ID again. Their last visited host will be remembered, and their last visited type will also be remembered. So do you see how fast, how quick the process is going to be for the returning visitors? They'll just simply search their name. So let's go back to the kiosk. The moment you select returning visitors, you enter your name, you choose the name, and straight away you're sent to this page where you're asked to sign in, and that's it, you're done. You're not asked anything else. So that's a very quick way to sign in as a returning visitor. Now, it may be a very quick process, but it's not a very secure process because you're trusting the returning visitor that's the same person. You're not asking them to take a picture. You're not asking them to scan their ID. So it may not be very secure, but it's very quick. Now, this one is somewhere in the middle, which is somewhat quick and somewhat secure. So somewhere in the middle. Badge expiration period, we can see it's not 30 days, but it's just 5 days. So the system is remembering the badge for the next 5 days, not more than that. So you're expecting them to retain their badges for 5 days. That's okay. And personal info expiration period is 1 year. That's fine. However, you see, this is the interesting one. So picture expiration period is not 1 year, it's just 1 month, which means if you're returning within the month, the system will remember your picture. But if you're returning after, let's say, 2 months or 3 months, you'll be asked to retake the picture. Okay. So you can do somewhat like this. Like instead of putting it as 1 year, you can maybe just do a couple of months. And similarly for ID scanning, I just kept it as 0 years, which means that each and every time they have to scan their ID. Because we obviously want a secure process, right? We want to ensure that it's the right person and someone is not trying to impersonate a visitor. And the system is also not remembering who you last visited, like who was your last host. You have to select the host again. So all these things add to the time taken to sign in as a returning visitor. You have to retake your picture. You'll have to wait for the badge to get printed. You have to scan your ID. You have to choose who you're going to visit this time. So all of this will add up to the time taken. So it may not be the quickest process for signing in as a returning visitor, but it's a little more secure. Okay. And then the next one is a setup where we're giving the highest priority to security. We want a very secure process. We don't care about the speed. We don't care how much time it's going to take, but speed is very important for us. We don't get a lot of visitors, and security is of utmost importance. In that case, let's see, badge expiration period is 0 days, which means each and every time they return, the badge will be printed, which means more time. But that's okay. We want the system to be more secure. So we're printing badges each and every time. Personal info expiration period, 1 year, that's fine. Personal info expiration period is 1 year. And then picture expiration period is 0 years, which means each and every time they have to click a picture. We want to ensure that it's the right person who's signing in. So that's more secure. And similarly for ID scanning, they're scanning their ID each and every time. We want to ensure it's the right person who's signing in. And then for last visited host, again, the system is not remembering. You have to select who's going to be your host this time. And you also have to select what's your visitor type. So you can see it's not the quickest process, but it's very secure. You're ensuring it's the right person who's entering your facility, right? So these are all the different, well, not all, but some of the examples, some of the different common setups that you can have. And another thing that we need to keep in mind over here is that we will actually talk about that during the demo. Well, let's go to the demo in that case. Okay, so it's time for demo. Let me switch my screens. And I hope you can now see the online portal in front of you. Now, this is just a demo account that I have. So this is the dashboard, first of all, that you're seeing in front of you. Now let's go to settings and then configuration. You can select your site. Obviously, this is a demo site. And then go to features. And then if you scroll down a little, you'll find returning visitors. Okay. And returning visitors, so these were all the settings that we were looking at. Badge expiration period is 1 day. Personal info expiration is 1 year. Picture expiration 1 year, and so on and so forth. Okay. So this is where all these settings live, right? Settings, configuration, features, and then returning visitors. Okay. And the thing about documents that I was talking about, you obviously don't want sometimes you don't want your returning visitors to watch the to sign the documents again and again. So to ensure that, let's go to a test document here. To ensure that, you need to make sure that for that document, instead of having show every time, you need to set it as expire after, let's say, 1 year. And you have to keep it the same as the personal info expiration period. So if the personal info expiration period is 1 year, set this as 1 year as well, so that the same person won't be asked to sign the document again and again. Okay, so that's very important to set. Once you've done that, the returning visitors won't be asked to sign the document again. But if you want them to sign the document again, you just change it to show every time. And don't forget to save it. Okay? So that's something that you need to keep in mind when setting up returning visitors and tailoring their whole sign-in experience. Now let's go back to our slide. Okay. And now let's cover some of the frequently asked questions. Now, how to ensure, I get this a lot. Now, how to ensure that returning visitor is not asked to go through the sign-in documents? That's exactly what I discussed. So yeah, you just need to ensure that under documents settings, you don't have to set it as show every time. Just set an expiry for the document. If the personal info expiration period is 1 year, set the document expiration as 1 year as well, so that the returning visitors are not asked to sign those documents again and again. Next one is how to ensure that badges are printed for the returning visitors, something that we covered before. There you go. So badge expiration period, this is where you do. If you want to ensure that each and every visit, their badge is printed, just set this as 0 days. Okay, so even if they return in the next hour, their badge will be printed. Okay. Then why sometimes returning visitors are unable to search their names? Okay, so this is an interesting one. So sometimes what happens is you enter your name, but there's no match found. Now there can be multiple reasons, and one of the very common reasons could be that maybe you're not connected to the network, or possibly the personal info expiration period has passed. So you're visiting maybe after 18 months, which means that the system has forgotten you. So you have to sign in as a new visitor again. Okay, so if the personal info expiration period has passed, you have to sign in as a new visitor again, so that you again get into that system, and the system will now remember you for the next 12 months. Right? So that is a possible reason why sometimes it shows match not found. And the final one, how to find the original signed documents of a returning visitor if they haven't signed anything on their return visit. Yeah, that's a good one. Let's go back to the portal again, and I'll show it to you how to do that. So let's go to visitors. And again, this is all dummy data that you're seeing. So you can see Mike Tango is a visitor who's visited multiple times. So in the most recent visit, you can see, so this means an R in front of their visitor record means that they're a returning visitor. And you can see there's no document in front of them. So how do you find their document, the original document that they signed? Well, you have to click on their name. When you click on their name, it will sort by their name. It will show you all their visits, all their visitor records. And the oldest one, when they originally signed in as a new visitor, will have all their documents. So there you see. So this is the one that they originally signed. And you can just click on this and it will download all their documents. Okay, so that is where you can find the original documents that they signed when they originally came in as a new visitor. Okay. And let's go back to the deck. So I hope we've covered all the frequently asked questions. Thanks so much for joining, everyone. I hope you all gathered some information from this. So just so you all know, we will continue to do these webinars. Our next webinar is going to be on managing events. It's after 3 weeks from now. It's on May 15th. And then we'll have another session where we'll talk about watch lists and how you can best utilize watch lists. Okay, so stay tuned for all these sessions, and I would encourage you to register for them. Derek, I believe, has already shared the registration link for you all to join. So we really appreciate all your time and you joining this session today and spending some time with us.
And we have a few questions. Sorry, this is Derek off camera, so I'll just summarize a few here. So the first question is, can returning users scan a previous QR code to enter?
So when you say a previous QR code, which QR code would that be? Because there are different QR codes, in our iLobby universe. So if it's a badge QR code, then it depends on the badge expiration period. How long is the badge expiration period? If it's within the expiration period, then you obviously can use that QR code.
Tim is saying the last one they used from the iLobby login.
If the last one that you used from the iLobby login, that sounds like a QR code from an event. If it's from an event, then it really depends on how long is the validity of that event. If the event has ended, then the QR code will also not be functional, will not work in that case.
Okay.
So I hope, so if I'm not wrong, it was Tim, right? So I hope that answers your question.
The next question is from Frank. I believe my tablet is set up for 1 day for badge expiration period. If someone returns before the 24 hours have passed, will it print a badge?
Sorry, Doug, can you please repeat?
Scroll up.
So sorry, guys, we're doing this for the first time, so yeah, it's not. So Frank, okay, so it's a question by Frank. I believe that my tablet is set up for 1 day for badge expiration period. Okay, if someone returns before 24 hours have passed, will it print the badge? No. If the badge expiration period is 1 day and if they return within the next 24 hours, then the badge won't be printed.
Next question is from Morgan. So is the setting for all visitors or can it be for each individual returning visitor?
Is the setting for all visitors or it can be for each individual returning? So it is for all visitors. Sorry, Morgan, can you please elaborate on your question? So Frank, yes, you have to set it as 0 days if you want your badge to be printed each and every time. I'm also seeing a question from Alana. How do I get my home screen to replicate one to the left with new sign-in, returning visitors, etc.? Sorry, Alana, can you? Okay, we have Morgan. Can it be set for each visitor specifically, like a temp set for 30 days compared to a visitor set for 1 day badge expiration period? Oh, okay, so you're talking about visitor types, it looks like. I don't think you can have different settings for different visitor types. However, you can reduce the number of questions that you ask certain visitor types. You can have a tailored sign-in flow for different visitor types, but you cannot differentiate between how their returning visitor experience is for different visitor types. Yeah, so a returning visitor experience for a visitor and a contractor or an employee will essentially be the same. Yeah, we cannot differentiate between how it is for different visitor types. But that's actually a good suggestion. Morgan, I would encourage you to submit that as a feature request if that's something that you want to see into the system. Okay, so Alana has asked a question. I only have sign in on my home screen. I don't have all the icons that are in the pic to the left. Oh, okay. So you're talking about the kiosk, the welcome screen. Oh, so Alana, so you can always send an email to support@ilobby.com. I'll just. Okay, so yeah, we'll send you an email address. So you can send an email to them, and they'll enable it for you. That shouldn't take a lot of time. Yeah, that's an easy one. Right, do we have any more questions?
There's one or two. Frank asks, sometimes returning visitors are forced to go through the whole process again, even though I have set it up for 1 year. Why is that?
Frank, it's difficult to say why it may be happening. It's possible that they did. Are you sure that they didn't select returning visitor from the welcome screen? Because I don't see a reason why they have to go through the whole process again.
Morgan wrote a question, where will the documents be stored that they upload, for example, contractors?
Sorry, Derek, can you say that again?
Yeah, Morgan asked where the documents will be stored.
So yeah, the documents will be stored. I can show it to you once again. So if you go to the portal, just go to visitors, search for their name, and the first visit, when they initially visited as a new visitor, that visit will contain their legal documents, all the documents that they signed. If you don't see this icon over here, there's another way. You can click this. You can click their visitor record, the initial one, the first one, and export, download legal documents from here. So that's another way, if you don't see this icon by any chance. Oh, so you're saying that you watched them select returning visitors and it made them go through the whole thing again. Okay, that's an interesting one. So Frank, can you again just send an email to support@ilobby.com, and we'll definitely look into that. All right, so we're also at time, so I'm a little mindful of that as well. We have Jason used to do that before. Okay, so that's okay. All right, so thank you so much, everyone. I really appreciate everyone spending some time with us and listening to us. We would encourage you to join our webinars, our future webinars as well. This is something that we've started. It's a new initiative, and I hope this was beneficial for you all. So for all of you who've joined, and for all of those who could not join, we will be sending you the recording of this session. You should receive it in the next 24 hours, I believe, and then yeah, we can go from there. If you have any questions, you can obviously reach out to our support team, and we'll be happy to help. All right, thank you so much once again, and hope you have a lovely day. Thank you so much. Thank you. Bye-bye.